We have with us today the man with a voice that is as mystifying as it is deep and warm. If your choice of cartoon programs was similar to mine, you probably watched a lot of Hangama TV. And by that I mean you binged on a lot of Shinchan, Doraemon, Kitaretsu, Kochikame, and a whole lot of other wonderful programs. All of these programs had several things in common, but most importantly of which were the wonderful characterizations of the characters and the unique voices behind them. We have had several set of ensemble casts of immensely talented voiceover artists providing these immensely special characters with a unique set of identities that separated from the others. So if your childhood you had these specific characters that you know and adore and fell in love with, we have with us today a man with such a voice. And during my primary school days, when I first started watching Shinchan, which I watch till today, I fell in love with a different set of voices. But there was this one voice, a special voice, a voice that stood out because it had a unique timbre to it. And we have with us the man with our voice today. Without any further ado, let's invite the voice of Shinchan's father, Hiroshi Nohara, Principal Sa, Action Kamen, Nagakawa from Kochikame, and he's also not simply limited to that. He has provided up to 500 voiceover works of narration for the National Geographic Channel, Fox Channel, History TV, Discovery Channel, Ndtv Good Times, and a whole lot of others. So let's welcome the one and only Gaurav Marwaha. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
It's a pleasure. Such warm welcome, such lovely words. Feels great already. I'm hoping
the rest. So great to finally get to meet you, sir, because as Abhiram said, both of us are big fans of yours. So obviously we have so many questions and so many things that we want to talk to you about. But I want to start by asking you, how has this lockdown been for you? Because otherwise you seem to be a really busy person. You have so many things. You're a man on the go. So what's going on? What are the lockdown activities?
Lockdown has affected almost everyone in the country. I'm sure you know that, and we are aware of that.
Yes.
Our work also, to a great extent, has been affected. But still, we are managing off and on with recordings that I can do at my own, home setup studio, and the ones which do not require me to be at an outdoor studio and be with a team of, say, recording engineers, a recording director, or somebody from the client side, the agency side, to be present there physically and sort of direct or monitor the entire session. Is these days, through technology, like we are talking right now, like hundreds of miles apart, and we can see each other, we can talk to each other. So similarly, now technology is sort of bridging up the gap to a lot of extent, and things are getting easier to be done, especially our kind of work, wherein the sound file is the only thing that has to be delivered to a client. As for my some other works which fall into some other related profiles, which I'm sure you are aware of, those are also getting affected to some extent, but every once in a while we sort of arrange something, plan it out accordingly, and do it to the best of our abilities, so that everyone is safe and we are following the norms and the protocols, and still we are able to get the urgent works done, and we are sort of piling up the works which can wait for a while, so that things can get much better than they are. The situation can sort of cool down a bit more, and then we can sort of start those projects later. And also it's giving me some time to be more with myself comparatively, and spend more time with family these days, and really get a taste of how it is to be at home all day. It's like sort of getting a taste of your retired life to some extent. Although our retired life is going to be more like an everyday life, because sometimes we do the work also from home, like recordings also, and some other work also.
Right.
It's been a mix, and but yes, we do definitely look forward to getting back in action and actually going out of house and meeting people, the usual company that we had in the studios, all those engineers, all those directors. It's always fun to socialize and interact before the session, during the session, after the session, about not only just what we are working upon, but general things in such chit chatting and gossiping and all. So we are looking forward to that.
So, sir, let's
Awesome.
get to the obvious question we've
Yep.
all been waiting for. You are a voice actor with a plethora of work and voice different characters. But when you think of a voice that stands out in my mind right now, it is that of Hiroshi Nohara, Shinchan's father. It's an identity of sorts and is something that I would always associate with the voice of Harry Nohara. How has that been for you, and how did you come by it?
There is always a body of work for every artist which sort of becomes an identification to the artist. All the artists, the good ones across the art spectrum, have done so much of work, but with every artist there are few works which just stick to them like a badge, like a badge of honor, or whatever you want to call it. But then that is it. It's this Shinchan, first of all, is like an animation series. It's like one of the so many animation series that I've done over the past so many years. And the character also was like general everyday character, like the ones I've been playing for years and years. So when it was being conceived and the casting was being put through materialization, the thing in the people's mind was that yes, it's a normal character, it's a family show and in animation style, and we're going to cast the people who we think would suit the voice plus the persona, the physical persona, on-screen persona of the character. So that was the thought behind it, and the casting happened, the auditions happened, and fortunately for me, I was the one who got selected for Hiroshi initially, and Action Kamen in principle came later because it was realized that we need different voice, different characters altogether for these two particular characters who are important, but not so important, not so overshadowing. And somehow they said that maybe you can, do the modulation for that. Also, the fact that because Shinchan was a big fan of Action Kamen, who was a television superhero, somewhere the unconscious or the subconscious thought was that because he is a hero for Shinchan, why not have the same shades or nuances of the voice appeal, at least, which resemble a bit to the father, so that we can sort of overlap the two personalities for the kid. In general life also, we see the kids have their fathers as their hero when they are growing up, being like from toddlers to before they enter the teenage. So that was one of the thoughts. Principal just happened as a fun thing for me. It was like that, why don't you try Principal also, because he is also interacting with the kids and also with Shinchan. Let's see how different you can make it, so that just give it a totally diametrically opposite shade and make it super funny and super wild and crazy, and not an everyday Principal at all, just the opposite of it, crazy, somebody who is not very good with managing things that the way they are expected from a principal. But then that's the fun part for the kids, because he creates a chaos. Kids have been loving him. So this
So, sir,
character,
how do you put yourself into the frame of these characters? How do you bring yourself into these shoes of the characters? Because in several movies, specifically, so the action come in the Haigure Rakshas movie in Shinchan, you had scenes where you play Hari Nohara, the action come in, and Shinchan's principal, sir, all together. And how is it separating these identities and characters? Because you do them so well, and how do you manage that?
after doing it for so many years now, it's more like being on autopilot. I don't even have to sometimes get a script to be able to speak the lines. In movies and scenes like this, where the scenes are very obvious, they speak for themselves. And see, the one thing is, these characters, especially Hiroshi and Principal, they speak a lot in expressions also, besides actual spoken dialogues. So
Mhm.
those nuances, those expressions, those sounds are also somewhat very uh, sort of conveying, in fact, enough to sometimes replace or completely change the dialogues also. Sometimes it has happened that we've actually deleted or erased the dialogue from the script and just put the expressions, because expressions seemed more potential to be able to convey the mood and the expressions of the person at that point of time. So when these characters are before us on the screen while we are dubbing, it's like an autopilot. The moment I see Hiroshi's face on screen, the Hiroshi inside me just wakes up and I'm in that gear. The moment the principal arrives, it's like there's a button, it goes on, and I am into a different zone. The moment
Wow.
action Kamen is there, it's automatic sort of. It's like now after years of doing it, it becomes your second nature almost, and you don't have to actually say, okay, wait, now this action Kamen, wait, give me 5 minutes. I need to get into the role. No, it's like even it can also happen that I'm speaking one line and it could be like Hiroshi's voice more or less, and then I can be a principal's voice for a minute, and I can be
Uh,
action Kamen also in that same
Oh,
sentence.
uh,
So it could be like now it has become almost so
how long
automatic
have
that
you been doing these
just
voices, sir? How long have you been
ah
doing Hiroshi Nohara, for
almost
instance?
Hiroshi Nohara, I think, officially started going on air in 2006 in India. The auditions
Mhm.
happened somewhere around 2005, I guess, maybe the end of it. And by 2006, we got the approval for going on air, and the scripting and everything was done, and we started the recording. And I mean, it was on air, I think, by mid of 2006. So 2006, and this is almost 14 years doing Hiroshi, and
Mhm.
a little more doing overall voiceover work. Like I've been, I think, facing the microphone since 2000 or 2001, almost 20 years, 19,
20
20
years.
years. Yeah,
wow.
fun.
So what keeps you going? Like, has there been that one point where you feel like, nah, I'm done with this. I'm doing the same characters, and I feel like stopping this. But you still go on. You said 20 years you've been doing this. What keeps you going?
It's that's actually the other way around for me in terms of this work profile, first of all, because I come from a very different background. So I've had that phase also in my life where going to work seemed like a dreaded dream sort of thing. 2 years, 3 years I've spent in my life where going to office, going to work was like, why do I have to do it? Can't I escape? Can't I just run away? So I've seen and I've felt and I've really experienced that phase also, which has now, that I'm talking about basically my initial background, if we can come later to that, my corporate sort of background, because by my qualifications I was a totally different beast.
Mechanical engineer. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that phase I've seen. So now when I've been doing this creative work, which I've been really in love with from day one,
Right.
never does it feel enough. It is always like, what more can I do? How better can I get on screen for the character every time? Because after so many years, it seems like I know these characters in and out. I've seen almost all their emotions, all their gestures, all of their nuances, their mannerisms, everything, the possibly all the situations they can be in. How would they react? What would the outcome be like? It could be the Hiroshi that has been, sort of a boasting guy for his kid every other time, to sort of give him an example that, okay, I was like this in my college days, and, we used to do like this, and blah, blah, blah. So he is getting into a very heroic sort of a mode, and everything changes on screen if you've been watching uh, the episodes. And then the same Harry becomes overburdened by work when he's in the office with his
Yes.
boss or with his colleagues, and he's like troubled like anything and irritated. He's tired by the time he's coming back in his metro train or on the road, and generally after a glass of juice he gets better. which
Right.
It's like in
yeah,
these cartoon shows, they have these orange marks up just below their eyes and above. Yeah, then it's like juice. Oh man, juice pita raha ho mujhse. So
Yes,
it's really nice.
that juice had a big story behind it. Initially the initial episodes when they were to be recorded. See, the thing with us as voice artists plus these agencies is that we try to retain the originality of the original series as much as possible. So those who know, they know that original Japanese Hiroshi does not drink that much of juice. He doesn't.
Oh,
He doesn't.
Hmm.
He drinks maybe a few other things. He has a flavor for other things, but because it was to be aired in India, we did not want the Indian kids to have that impression that their father is not drinking juice so much, but maybe some other drinks. So we had to initially decide what to replace it with, because this thing keeps coming every now and then. Every episode, almost every episode, he is shown drinking juice the moment he comes home. So we had to stick to juice to make it safe for all. So like no censor required kind of a thing and all. But we know how a real Hiroshi would react. And because normally after a glass of juice you don't start becoming lazy and you don't start talking like this. It's like Hiroshi would do that, and kids find it funny that why it happens. After a couple of juices he's like, "Hare Shinchan, kya kar rahe ho?" So this does not happen usually. But then we had to there was no other justification possible, because we thought maybe kids would understand that he's trying to be funny or something of that sort, because kids don't,
right.
especially that age, do not go into the logics of why it happened and why after a juice would this happen and all. So we thought we could carry it off with that. And so details like this mattered from day one. How would Harry react to this? Why would he do this? Even things like when he's sort of not able to walk properly after maybe a party at the office, wherein he consumed juice or two.
Yes.
We had to show him like it's just the effect of being with friends that he's talking and walking like that, not because he drank something which was doing something to his brains or whatever. So those things had to be taken care of, and we had to be very vigilant with the words that we use for each character, because each would have his own vocabulary, a proper set of words which he would say, and he would say over and over again. Like initial seasons had me saying Mitzi darling more and more often, but then this darling word was sort of opposed by the channel after a year or two, saying that don't use it too much, because kids have started using this word at home also with people they are not supposed to be using it with. So then we had to let the darling word go away with, and then some other words we kept on experimenting based on the feedback of the audience and the channels and the mails that the channels get and everything, plus the advertising agencies, because they are the ones who are more concerned with the TRPs. So they are the ones like, kids want this, do this more, they have been loving this, repeat this more, they don't like this much, so don't use this kind of thing. So we have been getting, although it was not much with me, it was more with Shinchan, because he is the one kids are much fascinated with most. Harry comes
Yeah.
maybe second or third, but still it was important because he's one of the backbones of the series. So that's the way we've been trying to balance things and keep things as good for the audience as possible. I
Right.
hope I
So
touched on
talking about yes. Talking about the mechanical engineering, we want to know how that transformation has been from a mechanical engineer to a vocal artist. How was that?
Oh, it's been a leash of life for me. Like, that phase, that era was more like, it was like a logical, growth, I would say, from being a kid who finished his schooling. And then the next obvious question, obviously, is what next? So the same happened with me, and coming from a family where no one at all is really into media at all, or any glamour field, so to say. My parents were both working as government servants, so they both retired from government positions. So it was a very logical thing that I may also clear some exams and maybe go for some nice profile jobs. If not government, then let's make it either a medical thing or an engineering thing. These were the two obvious choices. So being although initially at some point of time my wild dreams as a very young kid were that I could be a doctor also, maybe when I was 5 years old or something. But those dreams change almost every night. Like one day you want to be a pilot, and one day you want to be an actor, and one day you want to be a hero, and those were like vague ones. But yes, I do have a faint memory going to my family doctor and seeing the sort of the glamour world that he lives in, and all the patients treating him with so much of respect, and he's the one who gets to decide who will get an injection and not. And so I was like, yeah, he's a powerful guy, I may also become a doctor one day. But those
Right.
were initial fascination days, and later when the reality struck, I was like asked by my family to decide what exactly do I want to go in. So it was like, okay, non-medical side it will be. So after my 12th, I went on with my mechanical engineering. Although my college friends know how good a student I was at that point of time, I was like the one who was
Wow.
always late because I hated studying all those mechanical subjects, boring ones, the equations, the theorems, all those logical stuff, the mathematics behind it. I was always into this more creative and free spirited kind of subjects. So English appealed to me because that gave me the freedom to write the way I wanted to. Languages appealed to me always, but that was it. I mean, I had a very limited choice. So after I completed this mechanical thing for my parents' satisfaction and to get a tag, okay, the kid is qualified and is
Mhm.
not a dropout or something. Uh, Fortunately for me, or strangely for me, I happened to get selected during my campus interview only in the final year for the job. So I didn't have to hunt for a job even for once. During the final year only, Aisher company, Aisher Tractors, they came for they were the first company to come for the campus interview, and fortunately, I was the one of the first kids to be selected. And there was the most bizarre
Wow.
thing, one of the most bizarre things that happened, because I was like, I got selected out of all my hardworking student friends. I got selected. What, are you joking or what? And they were also like, you got selected, man. We've been studying so hard, and you are the ones who've been bunking classes. You are the ones who don't even know the syllabus, and you got selected. Why? I believe it was more because of the way I was presenting myself during the interview, and less with the actual academic knowledge.
With this
They
voice,
were
Right.
it's
more.
possible that anybody would get you in.
Yes,
You
I
have the
was. I was
personality
like,
and then you have
what?
this voice. It's a sell
Maybe
already.
I
Exactly.
was not. Maybe because they questioned me things. Would you believe the questions that I got to answer were from movies, also related to movies. I still remember Dilwale Dulhania
Foreshadowing
Le
things to come in the
Jayenge.
future.
Yes, and that was released a couple of years before, and I was asked what was the name of the character, that sister in that movie, and I was like, "What?" I will double check. Is it an engineering interview or what? And then I remembered, so I gave the answers, and then there were some hypothetical questions and stuff like that. I don't know what they saw in me, but I was selected, and so after my completion of this mechanical engineering, I started working with Aisher, and 2 years I worked in all different possible departments they could throw me into, just to see where I fit the best. And but it was like one was worse than the other. I was like, this is bad. This is even worse. Oh, take me out of this. And they were like, he is not performing so well in any of these. But I was doing my weird kind of stuff in all the departments. I made some weird automations in one of the departments, which still to this day they follow. Like I was the one who introduced some computer based automatic screening of things, which they were not. They were all doing it manually. I was like, 3,000 items are manufactured, and every day somebody is doing it manually. Come on. I read some books on D-Base that point of time, and consulted the IT department. Can I do something? And they said, okay, what are you planning? I said, let me just create some program. And it took me around 1 month or so, but then it worked. And the program was like, now anybody just had to feed the item code. We have codes for all the items. So any item code you feed, all the details you get on screen. Where does it come from? Who sells it? How much is the cost? What is the
Wow.
inventory? It was all that, but that joining part was the problem. I had to stay late nights in the office to complete it, but I wanted to do it because I did not want to get into the botheration of doing it over and over and over again. Because at that point of time, I thought that I would be doing this for the rest of my life. So let's make my job easier and let's make it more sort of automated if I can. Later, did I realize that I've done it for the others who are to follow, and they were like, "Wow, now this is good. Yeah, so much of effort has gone." So things like that happened, and that engineering. stint was also a phase which made me realize what exactly do I value in life. Not just my bread and butter, not just going to an office, not just getting this badge, so to say, that yes, he or she is qualified person who is working. That's the
Right,
common thing
right.
in society. For me, the search was what is making me really happy within my heart, what is giving me that satisfaction which uh, lets me look forward to another day and another and another with even more excitement, so that I don't feel it like a drudgery to come every day to office and just get the work done somehow and just make an excuse and just leave as early as possible. So that was it. Like 2 years, and I finally decided that this is not where I belong. Then the story is a different one of hunting where I belong. This answers this
Um,
question.
Right.
so, sir, how was this transition to voice acting specifically?
That happened sort of by accident, but I know it was destined to happen. Like where we left after resigning from my engineering position, I switched back to Delhi because I was initially posted in Alwar. I switched back and I realized what are the options here, and I don't see much. So at that point of time, the thing was now what to do. So I started looking for arenas where I could do something creative with my life.
Mm,
And what at that point of time, because of my little introduction to the computers and everything, the website thing was very new in India at that point of time. I'm talking about 1998, 99. So just a year before I actually ventured into the recordings. So I went on and signed up for a course for this web designing thing with one of the institutes, and 1 year it took me to learn the things that it takes to create a website, more or less, at least a starting point of it. And then after 1 year, again it was sheer incidents that my faculty only offered me during my last 3 months that would you like to assist me after this course. I was like, are you serious? Me? Out of all the students again? What is it happening? Like, I was the one who was just doing it for the sake of, getting into some creative zone. And I had, other batchmates who were studying like crazy and doing so much of practice at home. And they would tell me that I, sat up all night yesterday trying to create something. And I was like, what, man? I just went home, slept like a log, and today I'm here again. And I was the one like, would you assist me? I was like, me? As a like a junior faculty, are you crazy? I don't know the concepts myself. But he said, no, I'll take care of that. But then that decision although never materialized, but I was fortunate to get some other small jobs. And my last final goodbye to this work mode was as a faculty with Arena Multimedia. They are a big multimedia faculty down this side in northern India at least. And
right.
there I served for I think 6 months before I finally realized, no, this is also not for me. And uh, incidentally, something related to voiceover started there also, because that organization was, because it was into multimedia, it was creating some these audio video presentations or stuff like that for the new potential batches, and wherein they used professional voices as a voiceover. And that is where I first heard it, and I realized, wow, this is also a nice option. But till that point of time, I had no idea how is it done, where is it done, how to get into it, and all. Incidentally, I realized that I know one of the batchmates from my web designing classes who used to have a college band, and I got in touch with him. I poked him and found out that one of the friends is still working in the industry as a music composer. So I was after him, calling him up again and again multiple times, and because I wanted to become a singer. That was a new one. Because of my initial interest, I had been a formally trained sort of vocalist for a few years. So my initial aspiration right after my schooling was to become a singer, which later took on a different turn. But this aspiration and this going this hunting for a singing assignment actually incidentally turned me to get my first voiceover job. Because after a few talks on the phone, he offered me that you sound all right on the phone. Why don't you try voiceovers? And then I asked, what is a voiceover? And then he explained. And then I said, that I know, that I've been, listening to as a kid, but I didn't know the term they use it for. I said, that would be fun. So then he gave me my first break within a few days. And it was incidentally a small assignment which had me to sing also for 5 seconds and then to do the voiceover also for five
That's about
seconds.
all.
It was a seed. It was named Beej Lakshmi. I still remember. And I was paid about 300 rupees for that. I remember. And I was like, wow, 300 rupees. And I enjoyed it so much. Oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to do this forever and ever. So that was the starting point. But then came the real struggles also, which are another story altogether. So this is how my transition happened from a mechanical engineer to a web designer to a proper so-called professional voice artist.
But things don't end here,
So
sir. You've been doing narrating,
yeah,
voiceover, and animation voices, advertisements, commentary, master of ceremonies for various high-profile events. So it's been a multitude of doing different things, and you've excelled in every sphere as you have done previously. How do you manage all of these things together at the same time and yet deliver quality per se of great standards?
Oh, how do I manage? I don't know. I just do the job that I take up. First of all, I take up only what I think I can deliver, and if I do take it up, then I make sure that I will leave no stone unturned in doing what I can do to the best of my abilities. So studio recordings are one thing where we do have these scripts to help us, the video, the reference video, plus we have someone watching over us to see the entire thing going on well. In live events, it's different thing. It's just me, the real person, the Gaurav Marwaha that I am, who is interacting with the real audience, and they don't know anything about me. At least 99% of them, either if they are not aware, or it sometimes happens that I'm introduced in such a way that now people are made aware of, what this guy's background is and what all work he has done. That's a different story. But otherwise, just by voice, if I start opening a live event, it's not that people would be, oh my God, he's like that. Yes, there are people who would recognize the voice because it's a talent many people have, that they can make out this voice, this is Hiroshi's voice. That's it. That's one, because Hiroshi's voice has stood out so much for so many people that they can maybe realize, especially kids. But then the others would just feel maybe like, oh, okay, yeah, he sounds like that, television guy, but they can't name, they can't put
Place
a
it
finger.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard him. I've heard him on some shows, maybe Discovery, maybe National Geographic or somewhere. They can't put down a finger on a show or a series or something, but they are like, yeah, he sounds familiar. I've heard the voice. So that's one category. Then there's one more category who are totally oblivion of it because they haven't been watching these shows and these channels. They could just feel that, not a bad voice. Sounds fine to the ears. Okay, good. Yeah, he must be a full-time anchor, doing all this for many years. So that's one category. And I've heard actually people during my shows and after my shows, when we are having, say, a cup of tea, and some people come up to me and say, so how long have you been doing these anchoring shows? And I'm telling them, this I do just, once in a while, every off and on.
Like
We thought you were a full-time professional. So like I thought maybe you could do our, and they come up with all these bizarre ideas that I have this wedding coming up and would you want to anchor this? And I've said, no, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm more into corporate stuff, and I'm more into, different kind of, shows where something challenging is there, something for me to also learn and grow and maybe take back home. Otherwise, it's not a bad thing to host a wedding show or anything of that sort. But the only thing is that people there expect just plain entertainment or just getting over with the thing. It's like an event which has to be just done with. So there's a dance event, there's another dance event, and in between the anchor would come and just introduce the next performance. That's it. So I said, maybe you will find better people for this job because I will do a lot of value addition and you may not like that. So let me be spared of this kind of job. So I've tried to take on assignments where I think I can learn also and I can give some contribution also. So could be a kids festival where I interact with so many different language speaking kids from across the globe, languages which we have only read about, and I'm seeing the kids, their entire troops with their tutors and their mentors, and we are like, okay, what are they? And everything has taught so much. And then there could be political events, there could be fashion events, there could be general awareness events. There have been many corporate events where I've been a part of, sort of introducing and talking about many big names, big shots in the corporate industry. And so been a very colorful journey. That is what keeps the entire plate well mixed up. And you, as they say, in your diet you should have a balanced diet. So all these kind of things keep my diet very balanced. So doing some fashion, some politics, some maybe a film where I played one of the actors who happens to be either the protagonist or not even a not a big role also, but still something to do. So just keeps on adding that element, that spark of something new, something creative, something different, just to keep things oiled up and well lubricated machinery working to its maximum efficiency. Because if I just keep on doing same thing over and over and not add anything at all, yes, there are chances it will become
That diverse
monotonous after.
profile. That a diverse profile. So you've been the master of ceremony for the book release of Karan Singh's Jammu and Kashmir 1949 to 1967, which is presided over by various high-ranking officials, even our previous Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. And then you've also been part of fashion shows like Delhi Heart. So it's like a variety of potpourri of different things that you've been doing, and you've been doing them so well. So there's such diversified variety of things. But how is an experience being in a very high-profile event and something that is relaxed and lackadaisical, like a fashion show, for instance?
The level of energies and the vibes that we feel is totally different. If we talk of a very high profile political event like the one that you mentioned, so like for such an event you have to be at the venue like a couple of hours before, due to all the security reasons and protocols. You have to be in particular zone, you cannot move out of it, no one else can enter into it, you can only talk through maybe a telephone. And after a while that is also supposed to be switched off and you are just by yourself backstage, and the organizers are somewhere sitting in the audience and you have no clue now what will happen. So if there's a change of sequence, you are supposed to just know it by your sixth sense and uh, follow it accordingly and sort of handle the things live on stage with all those media cameras pointing at you and waiting for that one chance that you will make a big blunder and they'll ha, we knew it.
Okay.
So it's like you always are on your toes and you are like alert and now what next, this thing, okay, this is done, is everything okay? Although such events also have a very rehearsed kind of thing. Everyone is always like ready with who is going to come after what are they going to do, how long are they going to speak, what are they going to speak about, what after they leave, how would they leave, where will they go and sit next, what will happen. Because with such high profile people you cannot take any chances, you have to be very elaborate about every single thing, and that's it. So well, like while I was doing this, actually I had a company in my green room behind the stage. There was a security guy with a walkie talkie and he was constantly chatting with me in between the times when I was suppose introducing one guest and coming back and waiting for him to come over the stage and say something. And so during those moments we chatted and I was like, okay, so where are you posted? And he was like, don't talk much, we are class Z security, we can't reveal much, and tell about yourself, don't ask me. And I was like, okay, you ask me. So he said, what do you do? I said, I do so much. After a while he was like, it's enough. I was telling him, I do this also, I do this also, I do this also. He was looking at me, okay, okay. We thought I would just say one thing and be over with it. So I was like, let not me be the one who actually tells you. So we by the end of the thing we were like friendly and we shook hands when he left. And he was like, अभी और कोई आएगा नहीं stage पर, and no one is allowed also. I said I need some inputs from the organizer for this thing. He said no, 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 it can't happen. You just wave from here only. If he sees you, if you're lucky, he will come, he'll send somebody, and that also will happen at a distance, and I will go and I will take the message and I'll convey to you. You cannot go out of this room. So things like that also happen in such events. Plus, you know that you are under scrutiny, and everyone, you cannot at all say anything which can be, politically incorrect, because that can create a havoc for the organizers, for everyone, because these events are covered in the media, so the news will be like, that was spoken about so and so person, so it might be correct. So we have to be very alert of that thing also. Coming to the other aspect, the wild and crazy shows like a fashion show, or could be a show that I did live in the Taj hotels, where I was introducing an eye gear actually from Titan. So that was another thing. It was a live fashion show wherein the graphics and the product details were being showcased as a AV, as a product, but it was in sync with a live audio. So anytime if I took more time in speaking about the product or lesser time, we would have either a blank space or we would have overlapped it, and the models also were synced to how much time are they going to take to complete one round of ramp walk and all. So that had different sort of channel. It was creative, it was fun, but again the stress is there, because you are the one who is going to be the pivoting factor, that if I make a mistake, the entire show collapses, because everything goes out of sync and it's just chaos. Then AV is playing on its own, models are walking on their own, there's no synchronization, and God knows who is talking about what, and that's it. The audience is left bewildering. What the hell did we come for? Like, what is it? This is one thing, that is one thing. There is nothing combining the two. So that was one that kind of thing. So every show has its own peculiarities and similarities and differences. And but the one thing, the common denominator is that we have to, as an anchor, always be connected with the audience, and they must feel that what I'm saying is coming from me. That's something that I always do. Like, wherever, even if I get a script about an event, about the celebrities or the dignitaries present there, when I have said something about them, or I have read whatever is supposed to be read, in the beginning, in the end, and maybe somewhere in the middle, I add something from my side also, to keep it real, to keep it my version of their story, and that's what people then connect with. So many times does it happen, like in a corporate event, like I did like couple of years back. We had all these big corporates from across India, their GMs and CEOs attending it, and during the breaks, I was approached by not one, not two, at least 7 to 8 big shots of different companies, which I never ever had imagined even I would ever interact with. And they were like, okay, so we saw you anchoring, you're doing a good job, because there were other couple of other anchors also in the same series, and we were covering different events. So they said, we've been sitting the entire day and we've seen 2 other anchors also. You are doing differently, you are in a way better. We identify more the way you speak, you connect better. They sounded more like they came, they read, they went. You sounded like you came, you talked, conveyed, and then we can still so many of them gave me their numbers, they exchanged numbers, that okay, we will get in touch with you when there's another corporate event. So when people from a different field altogether, see, Hiroshi fans are a different thing, but when a general manager or a CEO of a corporate company who's dealing into, say, a very weird sort of thing comes up and tells you that I kind of liked it, you feel okay. So if I can reach that person also, maybe I'm not doing a bad job. So the experience has always been good.
So you have had your own struggles, your own starting points, and everything. But has there been, some sort of appreciation that you might have received from your viewers or your fans or your family that you really cherish?
Oh yes, One incident I very clearly remember till this day. This happened, I think, 6 years ago, or
Mm-hmm.
5 to 6 years ago.
Mhm.
Somewhere from down South India, one day I get an email from a girl who just writes to me that, hi, Gaurav, are you the voice of Hiroshi? And something, one more line, and that's it. I keep getting such mails and messages on Instagram and places. I usually reply with a normal, polite courtesy, yes, and I'm the voice, and thank you so much for loving the character and whatever. So I replied
Mm.
similarly. So then she says that, yeah, I know, and I've researched about you a lot, and even my sister is a big fan. And they were, by the way, college going girls at that point of time, both of them. I think one was an elder one, so could be like one was in her first year and one in the third year or something of that sort. I didn't actually ask the
Mm.
ages, but you get the idea. So
Yeah.
and I didn't even know that they were two. I thought that she's just the fan who's been trying to interact, and so I
Mm-hmm.
replied a couple of times, and third time another mail comes after a few days that, and we were approaching Diwali at that point. It was like, I think, September or October beginning, and Diwali was supposed to be either in October end or November beginning. So that was that Diwali phase. So I get this mail that, we want to gift you something on Diwali, something
Oh.
special. Can you give us your address? And now I was like, address? No, I don't share my address with anybody. You say whatever you want to say here. I can read your mails. I can reply back always. So she was like, no, 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 I wanted your address somehow, please. Yeah, wo. And I was like, no, 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 I don't share it with anyone. So please don't mind it. Please don't, take it in any other sense,
Right.
because I have to maintain my own privacy also to some extent.
Right.
Because my mobile number is there out, my email ID is there on the internet, so you can contact me. I can very well reply you, and if you have any concerns, questions, inquiries, whatever, I will be there. So
Mm.
then she said, okay, okay, I understand. And I was like, okay, maybe the thing is finished. Cut to a few days, just 2 or 3 days before Diwali, and I thought that matter is over and done with, and they are now no more my fans, and they have felt bad, and they are
Oh.
like, okay, okay, this guy is bad, and we are not going to watch Shinchan anymore. And it started with, so I was like, it's okay. But just 2 3 days before Diwali, I get another mail, and big mail this time, with so much of content, and the gist was that, what we wanted to send you was a sketch of yours, which we created, because we also are into sketching and all, and we both
Oh.
succeeded in it.
Mm-hmm.
We took your photographs from your website, from your different profiles. They created a collage of my pictures from all over the internet, whatever they could find. Plus, then they actually drew one sketch of me, and I've saved it. So till this day also. And they said,
Oh,
we
great.
wanted to actually send this as a framed picture to your home, so that you could just place it somewhere.
So
I said I
sweet.
didn't know. And, so that was very sweet gesture, which I still remember. And not only that, they went all over, and after a few days, again, we kept on interacting. Then they started sharing their pictures and all with me also, that we are big fans, and see, we watch all your shows. So I had put up this couple of movie clips on my YouTube channel,
Mm.
wherein I
Yeah.
play one of the characters who's like smoking, and he's out there. It was based on a real story, actually.
Abhijit,
So
I've seen that. Yes.
yes, 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 yes. So I had uploaded those clips. So one day I get another mail. They sent an attachment, and it's an MP4, and I downloaded it and I played it. Both the girls actually went out and bought the dresses which I had worn in the clips. They matched it to
Whoa.
the detail, even the necktie.
Oh.
And they actually got a cigarette. And one of them actually played my character. The other girl played the supporting character, whom I was interacting with. And the exact
Incredible.
dialogues, as much as they could remember, they learned by heart all my dialogues of that clip, 2 minute clip. So I must have spoken like 10 to 12 dialogues. They remembered, and they didn't speak Hindi. Was not their native language,
Mm.
remember. I think they were from Kerala only, or I don't know.
Okay.
So they were like, their Hindi sounded different. Obviously the accent shows. So they were trying to speak my lines in my way, with holding that cigarette, and of course it was not lit, that's it. But the in my scene, the thing was that I hold up the cigarette to my mouth, and someone else comes with a lighter and he lights it up for me.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
What they did was that the one of the sisters held it and the other just came and just did nothing. It was like not the actual lit up, and then she started doing the gestures and speaking the way with the cigarette in her hand, and I was like, wow. And all this they shot properly as a video on their rooftop and edited it as much as possible, and they sent me that this is like the way one of the gifts again, and we love it so much and all. So such
So
things are
sweet.
like amazing. And then we then later on I was told like maybe 6 to 7 months later that one of the sisters got married and she left the city, and the
Oh,
other was
okay.
also was busy in her higher studies. And but they said, yeah, we will be in touch once in a while and we'll just drop hi hellos, and we will be loving if you could reply. And I said, yeah, anytime, I'll always reply. And so we have not been in touch now. The last I heard was that the elder sister gave birth to a young kid. So what I was told was that she got
Congratulations.
her own Shinchan. Yeah, so she
Oh,
told me that
wow.
the elder sister got her own Shinchan, so now she'll be busy for a while. And so I said, yeah,
That's
good,
really
good for you, and congrats. Yeah, so things like that happen, and every other time we normally the interaction is online these days because that's where people
Mhm.
can find if they really search for me. So it's usually
No, on
kids
this
like
fact,
college
sir,
going.
I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time. I first contacted you on Twitter. Took me a long time to find the exact voice behind Hari Nohara. So the thing is, like in India, there's a lack of understanding of lack of exposure for these voiceover works to characters. Like I watch a lot of anime, and these characters and the voice actors are very much talked about. But in India, a sort of wiki fandom or a fandom for these characters, because now we all love the voice, but we find it difficult to know who is voicing it exactly. Like these girls you talked about, we are big fans of yours, and people I've talked to, we have a lot to talk about Shinchan, the voices behind it. But then there's a lack of exposure towards these voices. So maybe further on, moving forward, we could all have a platform where we can discuss and talk and meet our celebrities that we know and love for a long time. So on this note, I want to ask one more thing, sir. You have done so many different things. We've talked about that in the field of voiceover work too. But then again, it's been very, very difficult to find your presence as such. You maintain a very, very reserved profile. Why is this so, sir?
um, that's the way I am usually. Like normally, not a very outspoken person unless I'm really on a platform like this where people actually want to listen something from my side. I usually am the one who would just be in a scene and just reply to more like questions and queries and things and get away with it. Like I'm not like, listen to me, I have so much to share and I talk about myself and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it's been like that all through. Plus also the fact that internet is now getting more active and
Yeah.
more as a medium. It's finding its presence more now with passing time. The time when we started, it was also new comparatively in India, like 2000 onwards. So it took a while. Plus, also the fact that with some television channels, there is also a copyright issue. They wouldn't allow you to use their brand names or character names or anything
Hmm.
of that sort to market for yourself. So you cannot use any of the scripts or the lines or the matter which has been on air for your personal promotion or anything of that sort. So I always wanted to be out of any trouble, legal matters and any issues. So I said, okay, let me be the way I am, and if anybody is really interested, they will somehow be able to find me, because I've just mentioned about me at a couple of places that I've done Hiroshi's voice. That's it. I've not used any of the lines or the dialogues or the phrases or anything. It's just a mention. So that I think can be a safe thing to get away with. But now I see people are very actively using the entire character. The current Shinchan is being played by a girl who is very active on YouTube, and she's having, I think, more than
Mhm.
10 million followers or even more, I guess. The last I somebody told me, and I was approached by her also a few months back that she wanted to do a show with me also in the frame that the Shinchan's voice and Hiroshi's voice talking together live, and the people will find it
Wow.
very amusing and very entertaining. So I've been sort of pushing this idea, and I've told her that yeah, we'll do it. But then again, as I told you, the way I am is like not very good at following up, and not very proactive at promoting myself. But
Mm.
maybe we should, now that the medium of expression and communication is more on the internet, so maybe things connected to the internet are more uh, potentially able to reach the audience. That's how I usually get also. Like every other day, I've been getting calls and messages from people I don't know, people who have been finding me from where I don't know, and they're like, okay, we know you, you are the one who's been doing Hiroshi, right? As if it was a big secret I was trying to keep away from the world. And like, they're like, we know you now. Yeah, it's like, oh my god. Okay, don't tell the police, but so been doing that kind of fun
That's such a
shoot also.
Hiroshi
But
statement.
yeah.
You play these characters with such passion that the organic nature of your conversations with the characters aside you is so palpable. So we find this emotions run through the conversations that you have, the highs and the lows of the conversation. How do you maintain this sort of camaraderie with your co-cast members? Because Mitzi, Harry, and Shinchan, they have this such a dynamic relationship, especially Mitzi and Harry. So the conversations that
Hmm.
you have, the riff offs you have, the back answerings, the retortings, the love that you have. How do you
Hmm.
manage to have such chemistry?
Oh, it was a long marriage on screen, like for so many years
20
now.
years now, huh?
Uh, Initially, when it started, it was on a different plane. Then we matured as the seasons grew, and then also we had some voices which were changed for the character Mitzi, also for Shinchan actually. So we've seen like four changes. For fifth one is the current version of Shinchan's voice, and I think fourth one for Mitzi. So there have been different actors doing the bit. So I was the only common denominator for both. That I had to maintain that continuation thing, and that same, you know, uh, the moods and the expressions and the lingo and everything. So to give the audience an idea that no, there has not been much of a break in between. Because Shinchan's voice from season 1 to 2, and she was replaced to 3 to 4, because the voice has been it has been tried to keep the voice as much as the
Mm.
original voice, which was given by a boy. Uh, Mitzi, because it was like a character who is always complaining and dominating, and sometimes beating up the kid, also the husband. And so she's being more like a bossy character, very, Hitler types. So with her, kids and I think adults also are not so much in love with the voice as such. It's the way she handles things. That's her, signature style. It's like, because she's gonna be bossy, she's gonna be loud, she's gonna be very aggressive. Sometimes only is she in a very different mood, very mellowed down, and very mild. So I think with that, the audience has accepted that. Now for me to create that same continuation has been little challenge, because all these different characters have had their own vocabulary, their own languages, whatever input they give, and I am the one who has to adjust every time there's a change. So it's like every couple of years I'm told, okay, Chinchan's voice has been changed. I said, okay, good. Okay, now Mitzi's voice has been changed. Okay, good. Let's move. So I have to adjust every time. Okay, now
But
this
thank
has
God your
changed.
voices
Okay.
remain the same. We've had a constant Harry for the past 20 years. That's
Uh,
such a
Yes.
great thing to look forward to, because when you think of Harry or Action Kamen right now, there's just this voice that plays in the back of your head, and that's your voice, sir. And that's kept us loving this show for quite a long time. That's really nice to think of. Just meeting you here, getting
But
to
then,
talk to you again. It's nice.
yes, but then
it's a
how is
pleasure.
it that your voice has just not changed? Like, do you do something? Do you have, you
The
mentioned
magic.
earlier that you have been trained in, Hindustani music. So, do you
Yes.
do the
Yeah.
riyas and all that regularly? Like,
Yes.
you wake up in the morning and you train your vocals or something
Mm,
like that?
Not so regularly, although I wish to do it, regularly. I used to do it for. It's like I have phases. Like there's a phase when I'm very regular, like few days or few weeks I keep up with it, and then
Mm.
it's like I leave it because of some work related urgencies or my
Mm.
schedules or whatever, and then it kind of gets neglected for a while, maybe few months, and then again I realize, oh my god, I have not done my practice for so many months. Let's get back into action. And that, plus also the fact that this practice thing actually keeps happening every day, almost whenever we are recording any new thing, whenever we are facing the mic. So this subconsciously we are trying to practice every
Right.
read, every take we do. There is some sort of practice going on, although the proper practice session that we would, if you can tag it that way, does want you and need you to actually set aside some time and place and be there, focus on it, and just do it. But
Mm.
it's been there, like it's been sometimes doing fine, sometimes I just don't do it, and sometimes like I will do it now more and more. So now, like because of lockdown in the past few months, I've been getting more time, so I've been trying to include it more in my daily schedule. So yes, and I hope that in the coming years I will give even more time, as I can make things smoother and more in place. And uh, I'll be setting up my proper home studio in the coming months now. After
Mhm.
the lockdown, we realized we need to actually have a proper professional studio at home only, so that we can
Wow.
do any kind of job required from anywhere across the world and deliver the highest quality possible. So that's something that's going to be there in the coming months now. I'm just waiting for this corona thing to sort of subside a bit, so that I can be more free to get all the construction and things done. And once that is done, then obviously the time that I have with me will be more, because now there's a lot of time we spend in commuting, if we have to,
Mhm.
from studio 1 to studio 2, and the traffic and the times and everything sort of sucks up the day's time from you. So by the time you are home, you are already exhausted, and you are like, then you have to spend some time with family also and stuff. So it's like we are like keeping that practice thing for another day, maybe tomorrow, and that tomorrow keeps pushing back. And
Oh
so
no.
the idea is now to find more time and more a perfect place where I can, if required, do my practice whenever I want to.
So, sir, you've played characters,
Yeah.
variety of different characters. You have fleshed them out to be characters that we know and love. But have you seen occurrences where you've had the presence of the unique identities of these characters come into play in your life? Have you been Harry Nohara at times at home? Have you talked like Harry? Have you been like to your kids or to friends and family? Have you been like Hare Mitzi or Hare, like the specific nuances of the character? Has it seeped into your own personal life?
It used to be in the maybe initial 2 years or 3 years. Sometimes there used to
Mhm.
be an overlap of the way, but then I think it's the other way around with Hiroshi. At least people used to tell me sometimes that, okay, now this is like Hiroshi. I said, no, 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 no. Hiroshi is like me. So this is like when I speak, I have given Hiroshi this flavor actually. So this is my flavor, which has Hiroshi is actually carrying for years and years. So I sometimes become very natural, and the way I would depends on the situation. Like if Hiroshi is in a particular situation, he would react. Of course, we have to take into account the language and the vocabulary also. But yes, sometimes it happens that Hiroshi's character sort of takes over, and I find myself, yes, this sounds quite similar to Hiroshi. If we were dubbing right now, I could have dubbed one episode maybe.
It's sad that Smriti has lost a connection, but then she has been wanting to ask this one question. She saw some clips of WWE commentary in YouTube, and then people were commenting, "Hey, this is done by Gaurav Marwaha, sir. It's done by Gaurav Marwaha." So we researched, went to your profile, and we did find that you had a stint going on for several years of voicing WWE commentary. How was that experience? Because it's unlike voiceover work as I see it, but how is it different? How is the putting yourself into the exact live event sort of scenario?
It was sort of a midway, because it was done as a voiceover, but it was done as a live event anchoring. So it was sort of a fusion where we were doing the event, but we were doing it in a studio. We had the liberty of redoing it if would need be, if there is something wrong, or if we fumble, or if we feel that no, the emotion didn't get through, as much as we wanted it to be like. So we always had that liberty. Plus, also it was in a way, very enlightening experience, because as a kid I used to watch these fights myself also when I was like in my teenage. So we used to have those the VCR cassettes which I used to get, and we would buy and sometimes get on rent, and we would watch this for hours at home. So I had those memories, those fond memories of so many years back. And the only thing is that now the superstars were changed, although few of them were still active and running, but many new entrants had come, and those were the ones we had to be little more aware about. But then thanks to our producers, we always used to get all the relevant material about the superstars, and how and what they have been doing, and what are the kind of titles that they have won, and what the anything particular about them that needs to be conveyed to the audience. We used to get it, and that's the way we used to convey it in our own ways. So there used to be two voices, and that used to be that, for a matter of fact, was a live recording. Because I might just inform the audience that all these episodes like Hiroshi and all other animation series or movies, they are done one artist at a time, usually, mostly everywhere. So it's only one artist.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we are reacting only to a dummy voice that we can hear. Either if it's done already, or if it's not done, then maybe we are reacting only to the original voice. And if it's Japanese, it's a bit tough because we don't know what the reaction could have been. But it's then we see the faces and we see the entire context, and we make out for ourselves that he or she must have been angry, he or she must have been pissed off, and that's why this reaction. And accordingly, now I have to deliver my expressions or lines or whatever. But this was a live thing. Two commentators, two voice artists doing it live at one go. So there, because we wanted to actually have that live flavor. When two people are talking, there will be overlaps. One hasn't finished his lines, the other has started because he sees something interesting on the ring side. And similarly, the vice versa would also happen. So these overlaps and these reactions and these questioning, answering, and everything sort of made it really that yes, two people are sitting there, they are talking, and they are describing the event, and they are feeling the energy. And it was a very wild, loud kind of an experience. People beating the hell out of each other, and just violence, and you have to be this sweet voice telling the world what it is. But we had to be so brutal about the way they were like jumping and kicking and punching, all those technical names of all those moves. And then these superstars, their names, their titles, and all the drama that happened behind the scenes, backstage and all that. So everything was part of the show. So we had to, that gave us also a chance to be a little more aware of what the current scene of WWE is around the world. And as a bonus, we got to see a couple of episodes in recording only. So we didn't have to actually take time to really come home and watch them.
Oh, good. So, one question I wanted to ask is narration in National Geographic Channel and narration for a variety of different channels. How do you put yourself into that frame of mind? How to sound like a voice that is giving you information and you feel like listening to it? Because it's such a thing to be a part of documentaries, to voice everything, be the voice of God as such to say. How is that experience unique in its own kind? How is it for you?
That has been one of the loveliest experiences that I cherish, because a narrator's voice gives a voiceover artist a chance to sort of disappear from the scene in a way, but still be present with the audience through the medium that you can be, best at, your voice, and convey the storyline with all the facts, with all the findings, with every relevant piece of information that needs to be conveyed, but in a voice and in a tone and in a way that would make everything uh, emphatic also, plus informational also, plus also the way it is being conveyed. The same thing, when conveyed in different modes, can make the thing look or feel differently. Like if we say a simple line, uh, this chair is lying here. This chair is lying here. This chair is lying here. So this gives it a very sort of
Oh,
casual feel,
yeah,
and
wow.
this chair is lying here. It gives a very mysterious and those crime scene like feels, like something is about to happen. It could be just informative. This chair is lying here, and then you move on. Or it could be fun, like an animation. This chair is lying here, and then it could give it a different
Uh,
explanation altogether. So the only thing is that what the film is about, what the audience is supposed to feel like. If it's a National Geographic or a Discovery film, we expect the audience to be, very mature and very intellectual sort of people who are always looking out for information and facts, and they have a huge database of knowledge and their facts and everything. So they want a very matter of fact, very point to point information, but conveyed in a way which is soothing to hear, pleasing to hear, and which still conveys the entire gist, the meaning of the information to them. This is one thing where you kind of imagine yourself either at a podium speaking to an audience, or sometimes you have to be larger than life, for like the way you said, the voice of God,
Yes, of God.
wherein you have to be so large in proportion to the audience, that the entire audience feels like one tiny set, and you have to sort of command the entire thing. That takes a different sort of state of mind to get into, and tell them. Then the motive, then the feel is different, because you have to be a different persona.
Mm. So what about photography? Did you start, just because you thought that, chalo, I'll try this also, or you really wanted to pursue it?
I don't know the exact answer till date, but maybe over the years I will find out why it happened and all. But what I can recall is that I used to never be actually, fascinated by photography for a lot of years. It's just that maybe after I had settled down, so-called settled down in my professional life as a voice artist and all. So we had this gathering once in one of the studios, and one of the other artists, sorry, he's no more, but he had bought a digital camera, DSLR at that time. I think in 2004, 5, 6, somewhere, long time back. So he was just bringing it to the office one day and was just showing to everyone, like, this I bought, and that was a Nikon camera. And the faintest memory, the earliest faintest memory that I have is that day when I saw that guy flaunting the device and showing okay, see, this is with this lens and I can shoot like this and that and that. I was like, wow, this looks cool, man. So I've been attracted to things which look cool and look very powerful, and which can do wonders. So like microphone, it's something that
Right.
can do wonder if you are
Definitely.
an artist, if you know how to use it. So that camera also felt like a device which can create wonders if I know how to use it. And I was like, wow, man, yes, this is interesting. But then he was talking technical stuff. He had actually learned some of photography. So he was technically talking to some other guy. And I was point blank listening to the entire conversation. And I was like, they are talking about photography. I know that. They were talking shutter speeds and apertures and, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I can make out that it's about photography for sure, but the way they're talking ratios and stuff, and I was like, oh, cool. There's science also involved, huh? And me being a science student, I was like, okay, not a big deal for me. Like, I was always amazing at my studies, I knew. So I was like, okay, I'll find it out, no issues. So but then sort of it happened that I sort of forgot about it all, and it just went backstage. And years later, when I was using my own family personal point and shoot camera in one of the trips, and finally it so happened that it needed some repair. So I took it to one of the service centers, and I was like, they said you have to leave it for a week or so. So there only I saw some pictures of some new cameras, and they have displayed huge posters and stuff. So I saw some cameras, and I don't know what happened. That phase, that memories just came by, and I was like, wow, I know that conversation. Yeah, I had years ago. Okay, so this is a chance also, because now my camera is not working, and let's explore. So I came back and I just googled about cameras and systems, and just went about reading about stuff, how they work, what it is.
Mm.
I became a little fascinated. I said, "Look, okay, let me buy a camera. Yaar. It's okay. Let me buy. The worst is that I'll click very bad pictures. That's it. I'll just use it as a normal camera, which we carry, for all the trips, and for family pictures every birthdays and stuff like that." So I said, everyone has it, so let me buy this. It's just that it's a bit complicated, being a huge DSLR thing with all those lenses and big attachments.
Mhm.
That was the only thing, but then that appealed also, that yeah, it looks cool. Yeah, it looks like a professional camera. So I somehow decided to buy one of the lower models. Incidentally, I again was working at one of the news channels as a voiceover artist, and there I had a person as a friend who had another. With me, life has been like this. I'm doing X thing and I want to do Y thing, but I have no connection to that Y thing. But I get a person who has some connection to somebody who is doing that Y thing. That person has always connected me to that guy, and that guy has from there taken me up and showed me the
Right.
right path.
Working.
And photography, it happened that I had this guy at the news channel. He's a video editor, and he's now with India TV. So he told me that, okay, one of my friends is a full-time professional fashion photographer. He's been doing it for 10 years. So you want to
Okay.
buy a camera? I'll put in connection with him, and he'll tell you which model to buy, because you don't know, you don't have any idea what camera can do what. So I'll just make you talk to him. I said,
Mm.
yeah, fine. So he puts me in connection with that guy, and I talk to him over the phone, and he tells me, okay, so I've been told that you want to buy a camera. Okay, so what for you want? I said the normal everyday pictures, like family pictures and stuff, but I just want them to look good.
Mm.
At that point of time, I thought that cameras can actually alter the degree of how good a picture can look. So he said, yeah, I was aiming for the base model. He said, don't go for the base model, go for this particular model. It's a decent model. It's like a semi-pro model, and you'll be good. So somehow his advice sounded nice, and I said, yeah, okay, it was not the one I had planned for, but I'll go for it if you say.
Mm.
I finally decided. Went and bought it, and I started. Now I had no formal education, nothing, training, nothing at all. I didn't even take the free, online or in-person session that Canon gives. I bought a Canon camera. They said, you for 2 weeks you'll give you free classes every Sunday. Come. I said, who the hell will go? I'll learn it myself. I even rejected the free complimentary thing. I said, I'll learn. Don't worry. So they were like, okay, cool, go ahead. So I just started learning about it on the Google, on the wherever I could find information about reading,
Mm.
watching videos and stuff. In 2 years, I started taking pictures, which people said that, yeah, they look nice. Initial thing is always with like friends and the people that you know. So I used to carry my camera along with me to recording studios and other places, and it was like between the shots or after the recordings, we'll say, okay, let's take a picture, na? And everyone is, मेरी profile picture change करनी है Facebook पे, yeah, take a picture. And I was the sort of official photographer for my most of the recording studios, circles, and places where I used to go, and all their DPs and profile pictures for Facebook, WhatsApp, and other LinkedIn or whatever. They were the ones that came from my camera. The only part was that I used to put a watermark of my name, so they were like pissed off with that. Although never really told me, but then they were like, "ये नाम हट सकता है," and I was like, "नाम तो नहीं हटेगा भैया," because I was not charging them anything. It's like, at least my name stays. So if anybody sees it, if he really finds the picture good, at least he or she knows who clicked the picture, and
Right.
maybe I can get some business, because that point of time I was like, why not start accepting some paid assignments with this also, because I was fascinated at clicking people. So slowly that happened, and yeah, by now I have been able to although now I'm very liberal with giving people, friends at least free pictures without any watermarks. I'm like, go ahead, enjoy, take your, the best of the lot, and I'll just give it to them. But then that point I was very possessive. No, I cannot give my picture without my name stamped on. If I lose some potential good assignment, what? So then it was like that's a stage when you are like assuming that somebody will see your picture and he'll call you up and say, okay, we want to do this, big huge campaign, and you will be the photographer. Incidentally, it's not the way it happens. It takes time, lot of sweating, lot of efforts, and gradually I started building my base, and slowly people started calling for more meaningful assignments, like actual paid profile picture sessions, with where they may need even 4 pictures, 5 pictures, but then they would start to be like, okay, well, I will pay you this much, is it okay? I'll say, okay, chalega, we pay me anything, because if you pay, that means that you're serious, you value it. It's the
Recognizing.
money,
Mhm.
the amount doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The way when you're actually taking out even 1 rupee from your wallet, it means that you value a thing. It's not a freebie. So then it's like, I've got it shot from somebody professional. So that was the initial phase, and now I've developed a full-fledged website. Everything, all the pictures, whatever little work I have done so far, everything is there
Mm.
to let the any new
We shall
potential
link it here to our
customer.
pod.
Oh, great. So that is there too, and now I'm making it sort of a self-running thing, wherein if I shoot anybody's pictures and they don't have to follow it the way it used to happen. People are like, you give me the pictures and the payment parts, and I'm making it all very very trendy, very techy. You pick the
Mm.
pictures you want to buy, place your order, pay the money online, get your pictures instantly downloaded. You will get the access. I
Yeah.
don't have to be. So I want to be out of the scene, like because normally what happens when I'm present there, people start negotiating and yaar zyada ho raha hai, please make the prices less for me and all. Every time they start emotional blackmails and stuff. So I've made it like, I don't know, the machine is handling it. There's a price to every picture. You want it, go buy it, otherwise okay, cool. So now it's like I'm getting out of the scene and all, because now I want to focus more on the actual shoots or my recordings. I don't want to be a part of this bargain thing happening every time. Because people are like that, and especially those who know you, they're like, oh, you'll charge this much from me also, come on, we are friends, yeah, go. And they're like, okay, you pay me only whatever you want to pay, and this like, and then you feel like your professional service has been sort of taken for a ride. So that part I'm working on. But otherwise, yes, photography is now building to a point where I'm actually being approached by some people, and I've recently come in contact with one business person who is very willing to take it forward with me for lots of assignments. They're
Wow.
into fabric imports and exports, and they wanted me to shoot entire catalog of theirs, which will have more than hundreds, I mean thousands, pictures in thousands, and plus their own vendors and stuff like that. They're referring my name. They've seen my work, and that work is going to come in a few magazines. The last picture came out in Economic Times, and I'm going to shoot that same person again for Forbes magazine, and
Wow.
then
Godspeed.
some other.
Super.
Yeah, so that, so it's going better now, and I'm sort of dictating my terms better, and I'm the initial thing is they always tell me, oh my god, you are expensive, and okay, you do like this, and okay, that guy is like so cheap. I said, yeah, he is cheap, I'm not. You want cheap work, you go there. You want quality work, you come to me. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but thankfully, because I have another profession to take care of my bread and butter, I don't have to be really like, no, I can't let the job go away at any cost, I have to get it, even if I have to drop my prices to bare minimum. I'm like showing my attitude a bit, because I want to show them that yes, if you are hiring me, you are hiring a quality person who has been actively working as a professional for many years, and who has seen life in different shades, and
Mm.
who will bring those shades somehow, those creative shades somehow, into your work also, be it a portrait session, be it a pre-wedding, be it someone's wedding, or be it general corporate pictures for your website, office website, or marketing purpose, or anything, a casual one of kind of a photo session wherein you are maybe at an outdoor place, at a garden, at a lawn, even your home. I've shot people at their houses, made them look the way, because I told them this is the way I want to picture you. Let this picture be one of those pictures where you are in your most relaxing places, because that's where you are, your home. So choose one corner where you really spend time. Let's shoot there only, and that picture will, whenever you see it, remind you of how relaxed you are, how good you are feeling in that moment. and I'll take care of the expressions, the body language, the gestures, the light, the everything, and let that be a picture for remembrance. So I'm now trying to put things together better. Initial part was to learn the craft. Now that has been sorted to an extent. Now it's more about balancing it with the business part, mixing the two, and presenting myself in a way as a package which people can either choose or leave. It's like you don't bargain with me much. You either like me or you don't like me. You take me or leave me. Don't ask me, that person is like this, can you do it like this? So that, because that also happens in my voiceover work. People, new clients, when they come, when they approach you with the project, sometimes they're like, okay, that artist we spoke to, he's charging less. Why are you charging so much? I'm telling them, okay, that artist you want me, I'll give. Have you actually spoken to that, or should I give you his number? They're like, no, it's okay, it's okay. I said, no, you take his number from me, that number. Even I'll call him up and tell him, you please go ahead and do it at this price. My price point is this much. If you're okay, otherwise it's okay. I'll give you something that I have. He will give you something that he has. Everyone has their own, whatever
Right.
best they can deliver. So those parts also we have to take care of. The business part and the creative part, they have to be balanced in everyday life. So every day we get clients. Just recordings and listening to the scripts is one thing, and going through the scripts. The other part is payments, times when they are released. Payment times are again a hassle sometimes. So the when Abhiram was talking about initially that structuring thing in India that needs to be there for especially the voiceover artists, so that people can find them or identify with them more, it's because we still need to be in that structured zone where everything is very categorically put in place, and you are dealing with a system, with a machinery, not just a offhand running program or an app which you can just kill like this. It's like a complete set. If you mess with it, it's going to come back at you. In Mumbai it's better because they have this association of actors and even voice artists, because it's been there for many years, Bollywood being the main entertainment capital. I think it's there also in Chennai to some extent, I don't know, but Delhi so far it's not that organized. People otherwise are connected, like artists and all, on WhatsApp groups and other stuff, but not as a legal body or not as a legal organization, wherein if somebody takes advantage of one particular artist and by not paying him or her or whatever, that person can be sort of blacklisted and no other artist will then work with him. That's the end of that producer from now on. So either they find a new artist somewhere, or they create one, or they clear the dues. So that's something that maybe will work in the coming years.
So, sir, you've played several mythical characters, fantastical characters. One of them is a character called Taisama, who happens to be a dragon. And we've had several dragons of note. We've had Ben Kingsley, we've had Benedict Cumberbatch, and then we have had Gaurav Marwaha has these voices which depict these bass, powerful baritones, and the mix of the strength of the voice, which causes trembling sounds and is a rumbling of sorts. And you also happen to work for a Netflix special which about robots and providing a voice for that. So how is it providing the voices for these characters of great note and power?
It's a it's a very responsible task because there are comparatively few artists at all places, like be it Delhi, be it Mumbai, on all the industries, who can really be cast for such specific characters, because more or less the range of voice, especially for male voices, it happens to fall anywhere between lower mids to mids. That's the acceptable range. A normal speaking guy, an everyday guy. When we come even lower, below lower mids, actually lower spectrum of voice, the bass, that's something which is comparatively rare everywhere. Be it not just for voiceovers, I'm talking even for singers. We have very few bass singers around the world, and the ones that they are very special, because that particular especially goes with the female, but them for them it's the other end, the higher end, the very few. So when you have this extreme of the ranges, one thing is that you know that there's responsibility on you, because there it's either going to be you or maybe some other guy, and or some other guy, that's it. Plus
Mhm.
then there's this challenge to now match up to the expectations of the if the work is original work, then we are given a clean slate with instructions that we are creating a new animation, and this is this character, whether it's a dragon or a robot or whatever, and he's a very heavy speaking guy who always speaks with power. So he has to be like that always. So I could be doing he could be a human being also. It's just that his build is so that you will feel the power, but you have to feel the physicality of him. The he may be a 7-footer guy, or if he's a human, or if he's a superhuman, then obviously he's either going to be an alien or a robot or a dragon or whatever. So then if it's a dragon, then you assume that because it's so enormous in physicality, the voice also is going to be very powerful, very overpowering, especially if it's in contrast to another smaller character on screen. Suppose we have a dragon talking to a very small boy or a girl, or maybe 6-year-old girl. Imagine the difference of voice
Mhm.
range overall when the final mix comes. So that 6-year-old girl is going to sound so thin and so delicate, and that the other extreme is going to go all the way up to the other end. So the way it happens when it sounds very different also. Dragon's voice, and especially things like that, also are a little tough, because they take a toll on your throat also, because after a few minutes of doing it, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you feel the strain on the voice, because you're pushing your limits physically also, although we are blessed to have that range, more or less the lower part of the bass, but still it's a tough thing, and doing it over and over again and making it sound like a natural thing is tough, because at times what happens is that we get into this mode where we feel that, suppose the dragon has to say आज मैं तुम्हें खा जाऊंगा, and because it's not a very human thing, we don't talk to humans like that कि आज मैं तुम्हें खा जाऊंगा. या अगर if he's talking to that girl, he won't say आज तुम बहुत स्वादिष्ट लग रही हो, आज मैं तुम्हें खाऊंगा. As a human, we won't say to any girl like that.
But you.
uh, because now I have to get into that mode where I have to actually feel that I'm a dragon, and I have an appetite for that girl, and the real, I should sound as if I'm really, uh, relishing that the
Following,
feel,
yes.
yeah, that. So that has to come through. Plus, then it's also the work of, it's a teamwork also. When we do our part, it's not the end of it. Then it's being treated by the sound engineers in the studio, who play with the frequencies a bit during the mix, with the music part, the background effects, and the visuals. Everything helps. If there's a visual of that person, screaming or giving a huge punch or whatever, and then you have this sound effect also, and also that the your voice, and then the mix and the background music of some drum effects or whatever, trumpets going on and loudly, all that when adds up, it elevates the experience for the final audience. But yes, otherwise it's been a nice experience, because usually that's what I'm usually called for. When they call me, it's like, he's a huge guy, he's a very fat guy, he's like 50 plus, and we want him to have a very this kind of a voice where he talks like that, so he has to sound very round. Sometimes you are expected to play very shrill sounding guy, but he's a very cunning sort of guy. And then you're like,
Yeah.
कैसे बात करेंगे? I have to give that
Oh.
principal, I have to bring that principal somewhere. And he's like,
Mhm.
talking like this always makes me tired of you, And that
Mhm.
the fat guy will come and, I don't think so. Now he can be a very, to this point, he's a human guy. If he turns into a dragon, he's gonna sound really disastrous.
Oh,
That sounds, more grumpy and more grudgy and more. So all those frequencies, the lowest possible frequencies, have to be tapped on, and then that has to be balanced. But sometimes it's the other way around also. Sometimes I have given a character a performance which was mistaken by some producers also, like this Netflix thing only. The untreated voice went on for the as the audition voice, and they presumed initially that it was already processed voice, which sort of seemed to match with their original voice. And it was like, wow, that sounded great, because that guy must have given some voice, and then after treatment they must have improved the
Moves on anything,
dynamics.
huh? Okay, wow.
So at that point of time, it was like, okay, that's cool if my untreated voice can sound treated to them good enough. But then I was like, now I don't have to make too much of effort, because if the actual untreated voice is sounding that good, I will give lesser effort, and after treatment, it will come to that same level. So that made things a bit easier for me, although it was not easy, because that channels like, or services like Netflix or other Amazon Prime, they're very particular about the quality of work. And if there's anything falling short on any point, they will just get it back and they will send it back to you, and they'll ask you to redo that part, and it's not matching, or we don't find it that expressive, or the voice is not that heavy in this particular segment or whatever. Please get it done again and all. But otherwise, more or less, things are doing fine. But yes, I've enjoyed all these characters, very unique characters, which normally you will not find many people to be voicing for.
Smriti?
Yes. Are we going to do the rapid fire?
Yep.
Yes.
Ready?
Okay. So, sir, I'm just going to ask you like 3 questions. You just have to answer in one word, but really quick. Okay? So,
Okay.
the first question is, if you had to pick a 1-year deal, or like a 1-year project, and you had to choose between the National Geographic narration or the WWE commentary, which apparently has a really big fan base, which one would you pick?
National Geographic commentary.
Okay. Now, would you prefer being a singer or an actor?
Singer.
Okay. And the last question, would you be interested in making your own short film, or do you want to go into photography if you had to pick?
Photography is better right now because I'm comfortable and already sort of established. Making a short film is like doing everything from scratch, which I think I may not be so good at. And it's dealing with many people and stuff like that. I'm not good at that. I'm like a one-man show mostly. So all my works, like be it voiceovers or be it photography, everything is more like a one-man thing. I very rarely find another person on my team. Like if it's a really big shoot or long shoot, then I carry probably one assistant to just help me with the lights and setups and stuff, and carrying on the bags and everything. Otherwise, normally I'm just by myself, me, client, that's it. So photography seems better.
All right.
Adding on these set of questions, I have more questions. So, if you're given an opportunity to voice an already voiced character or something in the realm of pop culture, which character would you like to voice? Personally, though, I would love to see you as Batman. Really, really see you as that character, because he's got this grave tone and he has this presence, and you sound all of that. You sound perfectly well. And you've already done action Kamen. So that's my personal choice. I would like to see Gaurav Marwaha as Batman. But what would you like to play? What character would you like to play? Or what would you like to do? Which line of work?
Oh, never thought about that personally, because we usually never choose or decide. It's like if there is a project and if the dubbing company feels or decides, then they call us. Personally, I've not seen much of these films also. Batman and Superman I used to watch way back when I was pretty young, and so I have
Any
very
character
initial
as such,
memories.
huh? Any character in any show, or anything that you would like to see done.
Okay. If you're talking about these superheroes, just maybe I could be. I would like to play maybe Hulk if given a chance, of the present lot, the Avengers, or maybe
That would be amazing.
Thanos. Because
Thanos would be
Oh,
amazing. I forgot Thanos. I had even as Thanos in the mind. I think that would make a better
Yeah,
choice. Yes, that would make a better
because
choice. We heard your dragon voice, and that would be so
mm,
good. Like the end is coming and all that. The words would be like so powerful and very nice.
yeah.
So,
So
more
maybe
questions.
that if
Yeah,
hmm,
Thanos.
and
Maybe look forward to that in the next session, the
sure.
next phase of Avengers. Maybe if he returns, or if there is the new guy coming in, the new villain, we could have you voice him, and then that would be amazing, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Why not?
if not a voice artist, or if not the 100 different things that you do so well, what would you
Hmm.
do?
Oh, I've been doing so much that what I could do except this has never crossed
It's
my
like
mind.
things
Yeah.
happen to you. It's like things happen to you. You want to do something, you feel passionate about it. You naturally happen to be good at these things. But we want something that's totally offbeat, something that you've not tried yet. Maybe you'd like to try at some point in time. Or maybe if you could follow that passionately in the sidelines, what would this particular career or profession or anything be as such? Or it could be a hobby, it could be something that you enjoy doing for the time being, or something that you'd like to pursue for
Mm,
a long time.
um, I may turn into, studying a bit about computer programming because that I can do
Mhm.
by myself. Just getting some books and stuff from the internet and just reading for hours and hours and hours and trying to make some sense of it and trying to create some applications or programs
Mhm.
or maybe apps or something. Because again, that gives me that freedom part, that being with myself part, being a one man show kind of a thing, and not depending on anyone else, not anyone else's approvals or permissions or whatever. I could be my own boss. I could work at my own hours. I could be at anywhere. I could be at my home and plus this is the generation of computers and IT and stuff. The future belongs to this, I believe. Software is something that's going to be a big part of our lives in the coming decades. So
So the
maybe
Gaurav
I'll
Marwaha photography.com that you have, was it made by you? You have a PG diploma in web designing, so it's you, huh? You have
uh,
designed your website.
I initially made that website by myself, although not completely from scratch, because then that would have taken a lot of time doing just one
Mm-hmm.
thing. Initially, I was on WordPress, and there I
Mm-hmm.
purchased some templates, and then I modified it according to my requirements and my taste. So I could do all the tampering and the modifications with that within that template thing. But of late, I've shifted my hosting to a different service provider, which is specifically for photographers in general. And it's an Indian company now, so I'm even more comfortable because they support the Indian currencies. They
Uh-huh.
support all these transactions through cards, debit cards, credit cards, wallets, whatever. Because now digital is going to be the way ahead for even payments, I believe. So that
Mm.
is something that I've just modified wherever required their templates or themes to suit my taste and my preferences, and that's it. See, these days, that's what is being done by photographers all over the world. No one is actually, unless you are really a big shot who has been doing the business for, say, 20, 30, 40 years, and you have to be so different and standing so much apart that no one can even match you in terms of website. Then you would probably hire a full-time website designer to create a standalone website which is unique, which has some great features and which no one can copy easily and stuff like that. But by and large, for a general kind of work, the templates are fine as long as the work
Mhm.
is getting done, as long as the pictures are being displayed in the best possible ways. And I've shifted these from one to the second to the third over the years. By now, I'm like, okay, settled, and I'm like satisfied with this service, so I'm sticking to it. Who knows? Maybe down the line, maybe a couple of years later, if we talk, I'm telling you that I've shifted again, and now I'm getting it made specifically for myself, and yeah, that's a possibility. But as
But
of
so far, the
now, I'm not
content speaks
focusing.
out, yes. You've got great
Yeah,
pictures, all your work, all your fine art photography. The
for now,
content speaks out, and that's what matters, right? Ultimately, at the end of the
that's
day.
that's that's what I'm focusing on. Let the work speak for now. Later on, if I feel like the presentation part and the marketing part has to be worked upon
Mhm.
more, I may hire a specific team or a person for that purpose only, and he or she can take care of just promoting that part and making it better and better and better and more unique in terms of what we have in the market with others.
So, of all voice acting roles we've been fanboying and fangirling over for a long time, which of these roles have fascinated you the most, or which of these roles that you have happened to like the most?
Of course, by the feedback that I've received over the years, Hiroshi Nohara stands out the most
Very special.
loved persona. And even he, if he were a living entity, even he were not aware of how and why it happened here in India. But then it's just the chemistry that struck with the kids. Maybe the way he spoke and expressed and conveyed things to them. And he's a different guy when he's with his son. He's a different guy when he's with his wife. He's a different guy when he's with his boss. He's a different guy when he's flaunting
Drinking
or
juice.
boasting. So the moods and his body language and his expressions, they all take a different tone altogether. So all these voices, and he's a different man when he's had a glass of juice. So have to balance the personality and give him all these shades, but still at the end of it, he's a normal everyday guy who has a family, who has a job, who has boss, who has to fight through the daily struggles, and who has the pressures of a loan, who has his own dreams and fascinations, and in between he has his phases of being irritated by his wife, his son, his daughter now, and all these stupid neighbors. Sometimes they approach and they create havoc and stuff like that. So he's going through his everyday life, and in between that central theme of I would have been this, I would have been this, I wanted to be this. So there's this one big thing. He has a lot of dreams which he never actually fulfilled, although he claims that he was. Now he claims that he was maybe a baseball player in his childhood days, or maybe a football player in his college days, or whatever. So he has all these stories ready for Shinchan. Every time there is a problem, and he has to show him as an idol or as an exemplary figure, that I used to do this, man, I was like this and all. तो मैं कॉलेज के ज़माने में तुम्हें क्या पता शिनचैन, ये तो मेरे बाएं हाथ का खेल था. And Shinchan is like, and then he's like, अरे मैं तो ये कर देता था, अरे मैं तो वो कर. But then he's like totally different out of that mitzy victimized guy, and he's like not a pressure from the boss at that moment. He's living his dreams. Come to that point where he's irritated by Shinchan only. He's like, अरे क्या Shinchan, तुम मुझे चैन से सोने भी नहीं देते. And he's like irritated hell. So that drama, that the difference has to come within the same person, because we as humans face that every day. Like, we are doing this interview thing like right now, and maybe after an hour we'll be maybe irritated by something at home. We are tired, we are exhausted, something needs to be done, it's not getting done, there's time pressure, deadlines, so many things, physical stuff needs to be done. You have to do so much of organizational work, your own work. Tons of things keep happening, and every person is going through that. But what I wanted with this character was to present it in a way which will make it funny, plus also unique. That has been the approach.
So moving on to one of our final sessions, let's do quick voices. So we call it quick voices because of the variety of different roles that you've played. We want to have a small excerpt of the different roles that you've played. So why not start with cool. Why not start with Principal, sir?
अरे आज के दिन में ये इंटरव्यू जरूरी था क्या? मैं तो कल रात को ठीक से सो भी नहीं पाया, और आज इन्होंने मुझे सुबह सुबह बिठा दिया है. अब पता नहीं कितनी देर बोलना पड़ेगा.
For an advertisement, the voice that you would put for an advertisement. You're selling something. You're selling a bike.
Just yesterday only I just recorded. Wait, I have the lines also with me.
Wow.
I was selling a car, so the script is there, I guess. So that will sound more authentic. Although I'm not maybe allowed to read the entire thing, but I'll read a few lines just to give you an idea.
Yes.
Scripts. Okay, so there's new SUV coming by Maruti Suzuki.
Okay.
What would you choose? Power or sophistication? Great looks or great comfort? The ability to take on any road or a smooth drive? Why not everything? Choose the new S-Cross with a powerful new 1.5-liter petrol engine, smart hybrid technology, and now with automatic transmission. The new S-Cross. the refined SUV. Test drive it at Nexa showroom today. Tap the banner to book the new S-Cross. Nexa. Create. Inspire.
Whoa, you put us into this atmosphere. It's very engaging. It's like you're there. You're there. You
This
want
is
to
going
buy
to be
it.
on, this is going to be on radios and stuff like that, I guess, in a few days. So we just
I've heard
yeah.
one of the voices that you've provided that I'm very familiar with is Ranbaxy Volini. That comes on TV. That comes on TV several times, and I think I saw it the past year or two somewhere around. So that's
Does
something
it
when I
come
think
on
of the
TV?
voiceovers that you've done. That stands
Does it
out
come on
for me.
TV also? I was not
It's
aware.
come on
Does it
TV.
come on TV? Oh,
I've heard it on TV
I
before.
never.
That's when I first heard it, and then I thought this voice sounds similar, and then I forgot about it. And then when we did the research and when we found your profile and things that you worked on, I'm like, I was pleasantly surprised to see that this too is our Hiroshi Nohara, and then the connection and the confounding moment of that particular realization was really great. So next,
Okay. So,
action Kamen.
yeah. दोस्तों का दोस्त, दुश्मनों का दुश्मन, मैं हूं एक्शन कामेन। आज मैं तुम्हें नहीं छोड़ूंगा। बस अब देखो मेरा एक्शन बीम, एक्शन वन। I don't even remember his moves. I'm confused now with action Kamen and WWE moves. They are different. So now I have to keep.
He has these left and right hand pointing movements that like sound like a dance before he does that.
Yeah. So now I rely on the script more because I might use some of the WWE moves in between. I don't know.
Choke slam. Now,
What else?
Hari Nohara. We've had several Hari Noharas, but then one final time Hari Nohara.
Okay. What more do you want it to be?
Hari Nohara talking to Mitzi. Didi, yeah.
Mitzi. Okay, Mitzi is a little boring. I'll just start with Mitzi and I'll come to this
definitely
session. अरे मित्सी, मुझे 5 मिनट देना, मैं बस अभी गया और अभी आया। हाँ, तुम बच्चों का ध्यान रखो। हाँ, मैं खाना आकर खा लूंगा ना मित्सी। Okay. And then he comes out and अरे ये कब तक चलेगी बातचीत? मुझे और भी काम है। अगर कल तक बॉस का काम पूरा नहीं हुआ तो ऑफिस में डांट पड़ने वाली है। लेकिन मैं क्या करूं? कैसे कहूं इन लोगों को कि मुझे जल्दी जाना है? प्लीज मुझे थोड़ा सा जल्दी जा लेने दो। बातचीत बहुत हो गई। वैसे भी मैं थक गया हूं। अब मेरा जूस पीने का टाइम हो रहा है। आप लोग जूस पियेंगे क्या?
Oh, it's like a childhood dream come true since 2010. I've been watching Shinchan till date.
Exactly.
To hear the voice come live and preserve the same integrity of the voice, it's amazing. It's like being a part of Shinchan because as children we've always wanted to be a part of Doraemon, Shinchan, and these shows that we watch. So it's life, it's reality right now. So it's all striking, coming back together. That's such an amazing feeling to have because we've been big fans of yours. Your work has inspired a lot of us. And several people that I've talked to who have enjoyed your works and who have fallen in love with the voices and the different characters that you have voiced. It's sort of like a tribute to everything that we know and love about the voices that you have done, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's been a wonderful, wonderful session. And this one podcast or this recording has been more for the sake of just getting to talk to you. I mean, baad mein jaye, whatever happens, the podcast or the recorder, people watch it or not, but this experience of getting to meet you, it's been really
wonderful.
Nice.
Yes. Likewise, I enjoy talking about my past, present, future, my journey to this world, to my parallel world of photography, to my future, aspirations, and what if I had to do something else? Question. Everything has given me also a new window to sort of look at a new direction. Some memories have been refreshed, some nostalgia experienced there, and of course reliving these very famous characters which people have loved over the years so much, and feels great to be part of it and feels amazing to have been chosen for that. It's something that it just happens. Sometimes one person is associated with one particular body of work which then just stays on and on and on. Isn't it strange that the other main characters have all been replaced, not just once but many times? but I happen to be the one who's going
Arey.
on. Something strange, because maybe Hiroshi was something that I was destined to play. At least as of now, I see that. Who knows, by next season, if the company or the production agency decides to change the voices or the characters otherwise, that's another decision. But as of now, from my side, it's like being a long journey of love, and being it's like feeling the character, growing with the character, and becoming a different person, a better person, a more known person with people. And that feels great. And so was it interacting with the two of you today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, everybody,
Thank you.
people have their Morgan Freeman, David Attenborough, James Earl Jones, voices that people know about. And we have our own Gaurav Marwaha, a voice that stands out.
Absolutely.
Hope to listen to you in more documentaries, more shows. And I, please, sir, this is one Vinati, or something that I really want for it to happen. People love your voice. Everybody talks about it. Everybody knows Hari Nohara. But if you could maintain a more social profile, I know you're a very reserved person. People need to know the amazing voice and that they love, because I've had several people talk about it. I've had several people discuss, this is an amazing voice I heard today. Do you know who it is? Do you know who it is? And it brings me great pleasure right now to selfishly know that, hey, this is this great individual. But right now, after this, and maybe in the future too, let every person know the amazing voices that you have provided. Thank you so much for your
Yes, I'm
work, sir.
sure now your work is going to make me a bit more famous now, because where I was lacking, as a
We hope so,
PR
sir.
person, yeah, I'm sure I'll get more exposure around the globe, and I'll also try and be more visible now. And let me take some steps to make my profile a bit more updated and bit more reachable to the audience.
Mhm.
And let's see if it works.
So if you're
Let's see
looking
if
to
I get
hire, sir,
down.
if you're looking to hire, we are engineers, we're looking to hire someone to be your PR agents. Smriti and I would be more than willing to join. It would be a pleasure. Getting to
It will
work
be
with
my
the,
pleasure.
getting to work as fans and getting to work for you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.